We've admired the open world chaos in all of Avalanche Studios games. And as we're about to show you, they delivered big time.
This is pretty awful. This is off to a very bad start.
Well, thank you, Tim.
Show the fucking game!
What's up, guys? It's not too late for an E3 video, so here we are. I had this queued up for quite a bit of time, and honestly I needed to cool down a little bit. Wasn't too happy with some of the responses to the presentations, which I watched live, all of them, with the exception of EA, because it's EA. I'm gonna upset people with this one, so as a prerequisite, don't at me on Twitter. That's @AlecTheLambda, links in the description. If these takes are too hot for you, put on an UV glove, not a sponsor. I'm not really happy with this E3. I'm gonna give it a high 2. Overall, it was lackluster, and the roles were switched in a way that I wasn't super happy about. Most of the heavy hitters were pretty soft this year, and vice versa. I'm not even going to cover all of the presentations I watched, simply because there wasn't a lot of content to really discuss. Stuff we had already seen, trailers that we had already seen being showed yet again. Not even in just like a pre-show, but on the actual stage. Normally I would cover the big three, that being Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony. No Nintendo this year because they pretty much just had an hour-long presentation for Smash Ultimate. It looks good. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it's got a good roster. Justice for my boy Waluigi, though. Y'all already know. Other than that, no Bayo 3. That's really what I was banking on. It wasn't there. Fuck Nintendo. I'm not gonna even bother with EA. You guys know it's EA. Devolver, as usual, knocks it out of the park. Great presentation with some games peppered in. And, I mean, the rest are kind of meh. Square was okay. PC Gamer, not really anything worth mentioning there. All of the important stuff was during the Bethesda, Microsoft, and Sony presentations. Overall, there's a few themes that I would say encompass this E3 in general. One is the Souls-like. There's so many Dark Souls-like games coming out. I'm not even gonna remember most of the names unless I put them in the favorites here. But they're also similar, not even necessarily in a bad way. I'm interested, but man, I'm not super, I'm getting tired of seeing a lot of the same is what I'm saying. That's what I'm getting at. Another overall theme is the year of the strong female protagonists. We've got girl power here today. Yas. And I'm not necessarily against that. I think Battlefield is doing it pretty interesting. But a few of the other games are just kind of shoehorning the female protagonist in for diversity's sake. Speaking of diversity's sake, let me jump into Bethesda. I'll go ahead and rate them first. 3. Just middle of the road 3, because they did have some heavy hitters. They had some things worth mentioning, but an overall theme in this presentation was the 30-second sizzle reel of nothing. People were really excited over Skyrim 6 or Elder Scrolls 6, whatever. Someone got mad at me for not making the distinction there. Sorry, Bethesda fanboy. It's magic game. I'm not super interested in it, to be honest, but it's not why I'm rating this overall presentation so low and not why I'm criticizing Bethesda. It's because they showed a 30-second footage. It wasn't gameplay, it wasn't anything. It was just a camera following and panning into a mountain, and then the Elder Scrolls 6 title card popping up. And that's what's got everybody excited. I'm sure on paper, if you didn't watch the presentations live like I did, on paper, it's just like, yeah, Bethesda had a good E3 this year. No, if you watched it, I think you'd be very upset. I wish they had interspersed the last 20 minutes of this presentation over the hour long, because the first 40 to 45 minutes were trash. Todd Howard stole the show. We can no longer call him Todd Coward. He was very charming this presentation, but I did take some issues with the jokes that were made on stage. Bethesda tried to be very self-aware about Skyrim being ported onto every current generation console, and for the most part, it landed. It was funny, I'm not gonna lie. But you can't make the "shut up guys, we know we put Skyrim on every fucking thing that'll play it." You can't make that joke right after you say, "Yeah, we're gonna make a mobile Skyrim for iOS and Android. We're gonna update the Elder Scrolls Online Skyrim. We're gonna do more stuff for the card game. By the way, right after we make this joke, we're gonna talk about more Skyrim." That doesn't, you can't have two things there, right? It doesn't work like that. Good joke, but in context, it doesn't make any sense. They just wanted to silence all the haters, I guess. I don't know. Just standing alone, though, it's funny. I'm not gonna take that away from them. Another thing, the new Wolfenstein IP rather, the sequel, or maybe even DLC, Youngblood, looks kind of lame, if I'm being honest. It's BJ Blazkowicz's twin daughters. Again, strong female protagonists. One's a marksman, one's a melee fighter, like a brawler. It's kind of an interesting, not necessarily in the best way possible, an interesting reveal trailer. I'm not super excited, but they can take that story in an interesting way, an interesting direction. We'll see where it goes. I'm not super excited for it. Doesn't look great. The new Doom Eternal, looks pretty good. I'd say that's one of the highlights. I'd say, again, both of these games suffered from the 30-second sizzle reel. No gameplay, hardly even footage of anything. It's just camera moving around something and then a title card popping up. It wasn't really anything worth hyping up if you'd actually seen it. Fallout 76 looks stupid. It's what everyone thought it was gonna be. It's this stupid Rust knockoff with one interesting mechanic. You can actually nuke other people on the map, so I'm interested to see that, but otherwise it's just Rust. Like, who cares? I'm really tired of seeing these multiplayer games that are more or less just survive, craft, have a little shitty fort, and that's it. Like, and I know they're gonna charge $60 for it. If they do, that's egregious. I'm gonna go ahead and echo Cliffy B here and say the $60 multiplayer only bullshit is not acceptable. And I know coming from him, that's ironic because the games he tried to fly under that sentiment didn't really work. But I think it's a sentiment that stands true. I don't understand why people are paying full price for a $30 experience, but whatever. People will play whatever Bethesda puts out, so I can't really expect much from that fan base. Rage 2, the game nobody asked for, looks really good. I'd say that's the crown of Bethesda's whole conference. They did good this year. Aside from the weird kind of lead up to it, it was the first thing showed on the whole conference. But before that, they had to open with this little 2-minute clip of all the employees at Bethesda. We're so diverse. There's people of color. There's non-heterosexuals. People with dyed hair. Look how woke we are here at Bethesda. Okay, but do you make good game? Do you got good game? Some were hit or miss this year. I'm not really happy that they decided to do that, getting socio-political, and then ham-fisting a fuck Nazis joke. Okay guys, you did this last year. Are you gonna do the fuck Nazis thing with every Wolfenstein game you announce? Like, it's not... Whatever. They're obviously pandering to that kind of audience, so... Whatever. I'm not even gonna say that it's a bad sentiment to have, but obviously that's a dog whistle to our hair-dyed friends over at CalArts and other places like that. That's not going to factor into the overall rating, right? Middle of the road 3 for Bethesda. Sorry, not a fan. They were also stalling for time, it looked like. It was weird because they would just randomly pause for people to clap or whatever. I don't get that. Maybe it was just a technical problem. And this is probably going to be the longest segment I have on any of the conferences because people were jizzing their pantses over Bethesda, and I'm sure that they didn't see the same things that I saw. So, that being said, I hope people are excited. I hope Bethesda isn't making a mistake here and showing quote-unquote footage, teases, without actually having gameplay to back it up, because historically that's not been a good thing. You don't want to show your 30-second title roll-in without any sort of footage to back it up. If they don't have anything to back up this new Elder Scrolls game in 6 months, people are going to lose hype and people are going to be very upset. I hope Bethesda didn't just shoot themselves in the foot, because I'm actually looking forward to it despite what it sounds like. I just don't like the way they went about announcing it. We'll see. So moving on to Sony. Boy, somewhat lackluster this year. I would also like to state that Sony did have some good games out, but I don't know, something about the way they presented it here. They were a bit more casual than I was expecting. Normally what I associate with a Sony conference is class and a lot of ambiance, right? You get the back-to-back-to-back gameplay and footage from new games, and occasionally developers will come out here and there. They always have a nice musical interlude between things. I appreciate that a lot. Some of that was missing this year. I don't know, something about the presentation I was not super enthralled about, but they did have some good games up this year. Other than that, there were some problems with the live stream. I don't know, Sony's always been a culprit of this, or rather a victim. I don't want to say that it's that Sony's intentionally sabotaging their live streams, but I don't know. Is it Twitch? Is it YouTube? Or what's the deal? Because I recall this happening last year, and maybe even the year before that, with Sony specifically. So, I don't know, maybe invest in some more bandwidth or whatever. I don't know, maybe they were expecting less people to watch. I don't know why. It's Sony. Overall, I'd give Sony a 4. Like a low 4. This is their weakest in years, which isn't super bad for Sony. Overall, comparing them to previous years, Sony has always been high up there for me personally, and this being a low point is still pretty high. They set the bar pretty high. Can't say the same for Microsoft. This is their best in years, but the bar for them has been set pretty low, so you would kind of hope that they set the standard this year moving forward. Microsoft, I'll give them a high 3, because they did have some. I'll be more fair than that. I'll give them a middle of the road 4, right? Slightly better than Sony this year. I don't know. I really fluctuate between those two, because at times I was like, well, Sony overall presentation weaker than usual, but at points I preferred over Microsoft. Microsoft did bite off of Sony's normal shtick and do more footage back to back, instead of interrupting every 5 minutes with random developer comments and talking about features that are just standard in video games. I don't know, either like, you get the choice to make customizations to your character. Really, Tom Clancy 2 The Division? I didn't know I was going to be able to do that, like in the first game, but thank you for confirming it's there still. Other games do it too. It's not worth mentioning. It seems like you're just wasting time, but whatever. One of the big things for this Microsoft conference was a lot of Asian influence, a lot of games that normally I would associate with a Sony conference being announced over there. Like, Devil May Cry 5 was announced here in this Microsoft conference. I'm not even complaining, it's just like out of place. You normally associate Microsoft with Big Boob Cheeseburger Supreme Madden. You know, typical American Western audience type stuff. but here it were. As well as Jump Force, a new anime fighter. I think the roster is comprising of Shonen Jump, the magazine, a roster of characters that fall under the Shonen Jump umbrella, so that's going to be really interesting. I'm hoping for JoJo, obviously, but you tell me. What they were shown were pretty much expected, with the exception of a Death Note character, Ryuk. They tossed an apple his way and he chomped on it like a horse. But of course, you're expecting Dragon Ball Fighters, you're expecting One Piece, a little bit less, but, you know, still there. And you're expecting Naruto. You kind of can't have those three characters in an anime fighter alone, or rather, you can't have them missing, so we'll see. I'm really excited for Jump Force. Looks cool. They showed Metro Exodus again, and I'm super hyped for that. I'm a big fan of the Metro games. I blitzed through them a few years back when I still had my Xbox, so that's where my mind is right now. As well as the new Dying Light. Dying Light 2, my personal highlight for this year. I know they announced a few other games that I'm not even going to mention, not because they're bad or anything, but I can't remember off the top of my head. It's been like a week since E3, and this video's coming out late anyways, but sorry about that. I still have a lot of footage and stuff collected. I'm going to push it out. Maybe that's just going to be the overall theme for the channel. You know, I've got so many projects queued up, but whatever, that's not what this video is about. I think I'll go ahead and conclude this video here because it's like 16 minutes of stuff you probably already know, stuff you've probably already seen. Probably? Am I making a really offensive accent there? No, I'm sorry. Oh lord, there goes my monetization. See you guys. I hope you enjoyed this E3. Not even coverage, I guess. It's not live anymore, so recap. E3 recap and review. See you guys later.